Exactly 6 months ago, on the 26th of September 2023, the FSCA launched phase 1 of the TTK, which trustees were expected to complete by the 26th of March 2024. We are here today to launch phase 2 of the TTK. I'd like to welcome trustees, principal officers, administrators, and stakeholders within the retirement funds industry. Thank you for honoring the invitation. You being here is indicative that you are taking your fiduciary duties seriously. My name is Mampe Julia Masike, and I'm the program director. Before we start, I wish to mention that completion of the TTK is a legislative requirement, and trustees are required to complete it. As you can see on the screen, on the agenda today, we'll have an opening address by our Deputy Commissioner. We'll take a look at the purpose of the TTK, share with you feedback from the FSCA on the TTK and completion of phase 2 of the TTK. We'll also look at monitoring and enforcement of the TTK. We'll hear the industry's view on the TTK, and of course, my favorite, the question and answer session. You are welcome to ask questions during the presentation, or you can post your questions on the chat box. Ladies and gentlemen, without wasting time, I'd like to call upon our Deputy Commissioner, Astrid Ludin, to give us an opening address. DC, over to you.
Thanks very much, Julia, and good morning, everybody. I'm delighted actually to be able to welcome you to the launch of this second set of 11 modules on our new Trustee Training Toolkit platform. And I'm very, very happy to see so many of you at the second event. I see that we have over 200 people on the call. And I think, you know, what that shows is the commitment that trustees have to achieving excellence in the performance of their fiduciary duties, and also their dedication to acting in the best interests of members of retirement funds. You will all be aware of the significant role that retirement funds play in our economy. With over 5 trillion rands worth of assets under management, South Africa's retirement funds industry ranks amongst the world's largest and plays a pivotal role not only in our economy, but also in numerous other emerging markets. And so it's imperative that retirement funds, South African retirement funds, are well managed, and that trustees have the necessary knowledge and skills to perform those fiduciary duties more effectively and efficiently. As the FSCA, we view trustees as integral to the success of the retirement funds industry, and therefore we believe that it's our duty to support trustees in their quest to develop the necessary knowledge and skills. And that's why we initially developed, and we have now redeveloped, the Trustee Toolkit. As you will all be aware, the completion of the Trustee Toolkit is foundational for trustees. And as Julia just mentioned, its completion is compulsory. The first set of 11 modules that we released in September last year covered topics such as ESG, governance, and contributions. And the 11 modules that we are unveiling today conclude this development project and covers crucial topics such as statutory returns, Section 14 transfers, deductions for damages, and default regulations. As Julia mentioned, the first set of 11 modules were required to have been completed within 6 months of the launch of the toolkit for those trustees that had been appointed before the launch date. We, as the FSCA, have taken note of the challenges that some trustees experienced, especially towards the end of the compliance period, when we saw a great upsurge in the platform usage. We are also cognizant that you have busy day jobs and that this is a requirement that many of you try to fulfill after hours. So we have therefore made adjustments to our network, and we will also be extending the compliance period for completion of the first module by 6 months, and you will see that notice shortly. But I think significantly, we've built on the learnings from that first launch, and we've incorporated those in the launch of the current set of modules. As a matter of interest, we have 4,567 trustees that are registered on the Trustee Toolkit platform, and to date, 3,388 trustees have completed the first set of modules successfully. That is 74%, which I think is a good start. But of course, we do hope that by September this year, we will have achieved 100% or very close to 100% on all 22 modules. So please remember that this is mandatory and that we will take regulatory action against those trustees who've not completed the training successfully by the cutoff. So on that rather somber note, let me conclude and thank you all once again for taking time to be part of this significant event today. We look forward to your participation, and I think very importantly, we look forward to your feedback. Thank you, and let me hand back to you, Julia, Master of Ceremonies, for the rest of the proceedings.
Thank you so much, DC. Indeed, it was important for the FSCA to update the Trustee Toolkit in line with the legislative changes, and we believe that the TTK will assist trustees in carrying out their fiduciary duties. I also believe that the extension is like great news. The extension granted by the FSCA will be greatly appreciated by trustees, and hopefully will now get 100% completion rate. So yeah, trustees must look out for that communication from the FSCA in this regard. Ladies and gentlemen, I see there was a hand from Mr. Teboho Tatsana. I think I'll just give you a moment after or during the presentation by the next speaker. Our next speaker is Zareena Camroodien. She's the head of fund governance and trustee conduct at the FSCA. She's responsible for fund governance, oversight, and trustee training. She's also providing legal support to the retirement funds supervision division. Zareena was recently elected as the chairperson of APSA, that's Africa Pension Supervisors Association. She will take us through the legislative and regulatory framework and touch on the benefits of the TTK and also monitoring and enforcement. Zareena, you may take the virtual stage.
Good morning, everyone, and it is wonderful to see all of you here today. We are really thrilled because we do realize that this is the second launch, but really thrilled that all of you are taking your fiduciary duties as seriously as we would like you to take them. So welcome once again, and my presentation will be very short. You'll be happy to hear. As our MC indicated, I'm happy to take questions throughout, just so that I don't have to listen to the droning on of my own voice. I also just wondered, MC, whether the gentleman or lady who had their hand up didn't have a question that they may wanted to ask now, so that we could get it out of the way. MC, I'm not sure how you'd like to take that forward.
Yes, I'm not sure if it was a mistake, but Mr. Tlatsana, Teboho Tlatsana, you're welcome to ask a question if you do have. And to everyone who's here, please, if you want to ask a question during the presentation, you're welcome to do so. Thank you.
Thank you, Julia. If you could just help me with hands, because now I'm going to just close your face, and I am on presentation mode. I see Tebogo's hand is up again, MC.
Adele, if possible, can you unmute Mr. Tlatsana?
Mr. Tlatsana has a mic.
Thanks for unmuting me, and thanks, Zareena, for taking my question. FSCA, you are saying you are excited that you are giving extension to complete the first phase with another 6 months. For me, that is not treating trustees the same. I mean, we were given from last year, March, we've been encouraging our trustees to ensure compliance by the end of this month, only to find that there was nothing happening maybe on the side of the FSCA to take maybe some measures against those trustees that have not completed. You are now giving them 6 months extension. Why grant them extension and open up the second phase? Because you might as well also maybe postpone this second phase. Or are you then saying to us, the second phase, we should also not complete it on time because you are going to grant the very same extension that you are now granting for the first phase? I find that very disappointing. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Tlatsana. I think Zareena can respond to that on what necessitated the need for an extension. Over to you, Zareena.
Yes. So, what had happened is that it's not that we're not taking this seriously. Of course, we're taking this very seriously. That's why we spent all the time developing and rolling out the first 11 modules. As you know, Mr. Tlatsana, on the 26th of September last year, we had the launch of the first 11 modules. Unfortunately, what had happened in the interim period is that many trustees had contacted us to say that they are experiencing technical challenges. And as our DC explained, because of these challenges, and there were a number of technical challenges from our side. So there were issues with the firewall, the network, and so on. So in light of the fact that the fault is on our side, we couldn't ignore that, Mr. Tlatsana. So it's in light of that we've actually granted the extension. Having said that, and I will deal with this in my presentation. So Julia, perhaps I should start with my presentation, because it's not as if you don't complete the Trustee Toolkit that we won't take regulatory action. As I think, and you may have attended, I think you attended the previous launch, Mr. Tlatsana, but I did say that the first port of call for us is, of course, to obtain the cooperation of trustees, because we don't just want to utilize a big stick approach. But having said that, there are problems or teething problems, I would also say, because, with the roll out of anything, as you can well imagine, for so many trustees, there are bound to be teething problems. And due to the teething problems, that is why we decided to grant the extension. But just to show you and to illustrate why we take this TTK incredibly seriously is because that's why we didn't hold back on the second, on this launch and the rollout of the second tranche of the 11 modules, so that the 3,500 approximately trustees who have already completed aren't held back and can complete the 22 modules. So it's for that reason and no other reason that that we've done this or granted the postponement. But I think more of this I will deal with it. I think I will deal with this. I think during my presentation. And yes, I see the issue about an overlap, and it may be confusing to trustees, but it really ought not to be. I think all the modules have now been loaded. So there are 22 modules, so you can do it in one go, in fact, either for those of you who haven't done it, or alternatively, you can break it down, you can chunk it down for those who find it a tad overwhelming. so that you can do your first 11 modules, and you have until the 30th of September to do that, as well as then you can do your.
Zareena?
Okay, but on that note, MC, I don't know if I should take the other hand, or ICTC might be itching to say something, and then I think I'll continue with or start with my presentation.
Thank you, Zareena. Over to you, DC.
Thanks very much, Juliana. And I'm sorry to come back in on this, but I just wanted to support what Zareena had indicated, which is that it's only because we are aware that there were technical problems that people had experienced, and that those technical problems were caused by some of our firewall restrictions. So it's for that reason that we've opened it up. But I just want to emphasize that we will not be granting an extension for the second phase. So this extension is a once-off extension, and there will not be further extensions. There will also not be an extension on the second phase. So we're certain that we've sorted out the problems on our side now. So we want to be, just categorical about that. Thanks very much. Zareena, back to you.
Thank you very much for that, DC. I will again just close this. Okay.
Zareena, we have a question or a hand from Mr. Andrew Owen. I think I will allow this question, and then from there we can move to your presentation. Adele, can you please unmute Mr. Owen?
Mr. Owen is unmuted.
Thank you. Chair, I note the comment by the speakers, and I understand where they are coming from. But I was one of the people who battled terribly up until about 3 weeks ago. And it took me double the amount of time that it should have taken me because of the system. Is there a guarantee that, because now you say that you've corrected the glitches, but now you're adding volume to what you couldn't deal with previously, because there are no longer 3,000 people trying to do it. There could be an extra 2,000 active users at the time. So, and with the greatest respect, I think we need to see that this actually works this time before we can take this discussion any further. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Owen. Zareena?
Yes, am I audible, Julia?
Zareena?
Sorry, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay, so just on that, as our DC explained, Mr. Owen, we have sorted out our ICT department. They've sorted out the glitches, so there ought not to be glitches. Of course, if there are glitches, please let us know, because we have been assured by our ICT department that the major issues, which was the firewall issue, as both the DC and I have indicated, that has been resolved. Do we have sufficient bandwidth on our network, etc.? We've also asked that question to our ICT. They've also assured us that they do have. But what I will say, Mr. Owen, if you still have challenges, please don't be shy to contact me, Julia, or anyone else, or I'll actually just drop my email address in the chat after this, so that if you do encounter any further challenges, please don't hesitate to contact me. Of course, but I think one of the speakers will touch on it. But I mean, you must also just ensure on your side that you have the requisite network, the requisite bandwidth, network strength, and so on. But without any further ado, Julia, let me continue. What I think I'll do, because I know that we've asked for participation, and just so that we don't listen to the drone of our own voices, but I'm just a bit worried that we won't even get. Julia.
Zareena, I think you're experiencing some technical issues. Yes, I agree with you. I'll just note Mr. William, just for you to attend to his question after you're done with the presentation. So you may go ahead, please.
Okay, so today I'll cover the background, why we, as the FSCA, embarked on this journey, the legislative and regulatory framework So the legislative underpin for the Trustee Training Toolkit is Section 7A3 of the Pension Funds Act 24 of 1956 as amended, pursuant to which FSCA, the Financial Sector Conduct Authority Conduct Standard 4 of 2020 was issued, which made the trustee training compulsory from the get-go. So even the old Trustee Toolkit, as you may know, from many years ago, I think it was in 2011 already, that was for many years, it wasn't compulsory. But what Conduct Standard 4 of 2020 then did was to make the Trustee Training Toolkit compulsory and any further updates pursuant thereto. Of course, I think some of us have already touched on the timelines and on the completion of the redeveloped Trustee Training Toolkit. So as all of you know, in terms of notice, or may know in terms of notice 21 of 2023, you were meant to complete, or trustees were meant to complete the Trustee Training Toolkit by the 27th of March this year. But due to several requests from the industry because of challenges that had been experienced, as well as from the trade union federations, we have extended the Trustee Training Toolkit to 30th of September 2024 by virtue of notice number 5, which you'll see on the website, notice 5 of 2024. Who is required to complete the toolkit? So all trustees are required to complete this toolkit. I've touched on the notices. The other aspect that I wish to cover, of course, the benefits of the Trustee Training Toolkit. Apart from the fact that it's mandatory, there are also significant benefits of completing the Trustee Training Toolkit. And then, and I think this deals with the first question asked, you know, what are we doing in respect of monitoring and enforcement? And I hear you, and I can understand those of you who have completed it, you could understandably be upset why it appears that other people got a get out of jail free card. But as we indicated, both the DC and myself, there is no such thing. But of course, we can't also ignore whatever challenges were posed on our side. And I think that is the exact issue that Mr. Owen is actually speaking to. And then I'll just have some concluding remarks. So as we know, to ensure that board members of retirement funds exercise their fiduciary duties and manage retirement funds more effectively and efficiently, pursuant to Section 7C and 7D of the Pension Funds Act, which basically codifies the fiduciary duties of the trustees, education and training of board members play a vital role. The Financial Services Board, which was the precursor to the Financial Sector Conduct Authority, launched the first online trustee training toolkit in August of 2011 to address the need for professional development and educational support for board members, and to, of course, enhance good governance within retirement funds. But given the numerous legislative changes that, that has impacted retirement funds since 2011, as we know, there are a plethora of changes, we then decided to redevelop the trustee training toolkit. So there's a new trustee training toolkit and which was launched. So we did a complete redevelopment. We developed the body of knowledge. We packaged it in a way that we hoped was easily digestible and fun and interesting, etc., for purposes of your training and for purposes of assessing the content of the TTK. The redeveloped content is far more advanced and comprehensive than the previous TTK, which ensures that or contributes to ensuring that board members have the necessary updated knowledge and skills to perform their duties. The importance of trustee training and trustees having the appropriate levels of knowledge and skills are recognized, and it's codified in Section 7A3 of the Pension Funds Act, which provides that board members who are elected or appointed to a fund must attain such levels of skills and training as may be prescribed by the FSCA, which we did in terms of our, as I said, our conduct standard 4, within 6 months from the date of their appointment. And board members are in turn required to retain the prescribed levels of skills throughout their term of appointment. So as you can see, this training and skills development, it's not a once-off, it is an ongoing process. To this end, we published the Conduct Standard 4 of 2020, CS4, which prescribes the minimum skills and training requirements for board members of retirement funds. So the Conduct Standard 4 prescribes the Trustee Toolkit as the official minimum training requirement for all trustees of retirement funds in South Africa. It provides for the mandatory completion of the TTK by all trustees. So it's not a, if you wish to complete it, as had been the case many years ago, you could, and if you didn't want to, you didn't have to. Now it is compulsory for all trustees of retirement funds to complete the TTK in South Africa. The Conduct Standard 4 also provides that elected or appointed board members must complete the TTK within 6 months from the effective date of the Conduct Standard 4, or within 6 months from the date of their election or appointment to the boards. The redeveloped Trustee Toolkit replaced the initial TTK, as we indicated, on the 26th of September 2023, when the Financial Sector Conduct Authority launched the first 11 modules on the new TTK e-learning platform. The second tranche of 11 modules, as we indicated, is being launched today, and that concludes the redevelopment project. The completion of the redeveloped TTK comprises 22 modules, as we indicated, and many of you have, in fact, completed the first 11 modules. And so for those of you who have completed it, there are another 11 modules to be completed. For those of you who haven't completed it, of course, you have 22 modules to complete. As I think we've touched on this, the technical challenges that was experienced, we decided to extend the deadline because we thought it only fair and equitous for the completion of the redeveloped TTK. And in this regard, as I indicated at the outset, we have published Retirement Fund Notice 5 of 2024 on our website. These are the dates of completion, as you can see on your screens. So the first 11 modules are now to be completed by the 30th of September 2024, as well as the second tranche of 11 modules. And this, you'll see, the enabler would also be your Retirement Fund Notice 6 of 2024. That's also been published on our website. So just taking you through the various modules, and our DC touched on some of them. So in our first 11 modules, we touched on the module dealt with the introduction to pension funds, governance of retirement funds, which of course is very critically important, registration of rules and rule amendments, contributions. So that's a very critical area as well. That's module 4 that deals with your contributions. And of course, as we know, arrear contributions is something that has plagued the industry. So it's a very important module. Investments, and I think often this knowledge is lacking amongst some trustees. So that module, these types of benefits, minimum benefits, protection of benefits, disposition of death benefits, your pension interest matters and surplus. So that was in respect of the first 11 modules. In respect of the tranche that we're launching today, the second set of 11 modules, you'll have your module 12 dealing with your stakeholders, statutory returns, housing loans and guarantees, section 14 transfers, the liquidations of funds, deduction for damages caused to the employer, reserve accounts, default regs, also the various entities, Financial Sector Conduct Authority, ourselves, the Adjudicator's Office, as well as the Financial Services Tribunal. So the benefits of the TTK, so consistent with international best practice, just so that you know, it doesn't just happen in our jurisdiction and legislation in other jurisdictions, the fit and proper requirements for board members in the form of skills and competence are provided for in the Pension Funds Act. As I said, Section 7A3 is the enabling provision. Accordingly, the FSCA, through the Trustee Toolkit, our aim is to facilitate the training of trustees to get up to speed quickly and to acquire the necessary knowledge and skills to assist you to maintain the required levels of competence in a rapidly changing environment. It's also obviously to assist you to be able to exercise your functions, your duties, your fiduciary duties in a way that is informed, so that there isn't over-reliance on service providers in decision making. I know that ultimately the trustees make the decision, but sometimes we see that there's an over-reliance on service providers. So this ought to assist in equipping you to better execute your functions. So we've made a careful selection of relevant modules tailored to facilitate the training process through e-learning. We have, similar to the old Trustee Toolkit, for those of you who haven't done the new one, there's the formative and the summative assessments at the end of each module, and which will help you to assess your own progress. This Trustee Toolkit, as the other one, places a great emphasis on fund governance, which is designed to equip the Board of Trustees to discharge their duties adequately. As we know, Section 71E, or ought to know, of the Pension Funds Act allows board members to seek expert advice where they lack sufficient knowledge, and you're allowed to delegate your functions in writing, but board members ultimately remain accountable for the governance of the fund and all functions under the Act in terms of Section 72. Trustees are therefore not relieved or divested of the delegated function. As you know, if something goes wrong in your funds, you can't say, oh, service provider X, this is what they advised me. No, you ultimately bear the accountability and responsibility for ensuring that you take proper care of the monies, of the funds that have been entrusted to you by the workers, by the members of the funds. After completing the Trustee Training Toolkit, trustees ought to be in a better position to assess and evaluate the quality of advice received, as opposed to slavishly, as I said, adhering to advice received by your service providers. Moving on to monitoring and enforcement, which I think is clearly quite an issue as well. So from our side, the platform, or the TTK platform, allows us to generate reports. And that allows us to monitor the number of trustees and who has completed the Trustee Training Toolkit. As I said, and this might also hopefully assuage your concerns, Teboho, the initial approach, as I said, was one of cooperation. We didn't just want to wield the big stick and be punitive. We obviously are desirous of cooperation. However, if you do not cooperate, we have various regulatory instruments that can be utilized. In fact, in terms of Section 26(2), compliance with Section 7A, and by necessary implication, the completion of the Trustee Toolkit is the responsibility of the entire board. And if you fail to complete this, we will take the appropriate regulatory action. And it may include the removal of trustees. So in as much as we've had a very gentle approach, because we are cognizant, as we said, of the teething challenges, and, I think that is to be anticipated when something of such a huge magnitude is rolled out. If this non-compliance persists, we will wield the stick. We will take severe, drastic action, of course, after affording trustees Audi if they don't comply with the mandatory requirement of completing this TTK. And as I said, in our armory, there are various other tools we could use in terms of Section 167 of the Financial Sector Regulation Act. The FSCA may also impose an administrative penalty for failure to complete the TTK. As I said, there are a number of regulatory instruments that we can use. We can use enforceable undertakings. We can use, the quite drastic action, as I said, of even removing, trustees who don't complete. What we also appreciate, is that where you have trustees who are not completing, and I must say some board members and some principal officers have been very good in this regard, advising us of who's not completing the trustee training toolkit, but please bring it to our attention so that we can take the necessary action. In conclusion, I would just like to implore you again to embrace the new trustee toolkit, complete it. I think the message that we've repeatedly tried to get out is that it's mandatory. But what you will see, and I think this is the feedback that I've received from many trustees who actually have completed the trustee toolkit, is that it's actually great fun. So please encourage your fellow trustees to complete the TTK. Those of you who haven't yet completed it, please do complete it, and try not to keep it to the tail, for the tail end, because remember that also creates massive traffic on a network. So, I mean, since you've been granted this indulgence, of the 6 months for the first 11 as well, do not leave it for the last minute. As soon as you can conceivably do it. I mean, in as soon as next month, I think get going, and just get it under your belt. But what I'd also like to do is to thank all our colleagues who have contributed to the TTK. I know at the tail, or as an end user, you may not see this, but, so much work went into this development and rollout of the TTK. And there are many people who have provided invaluable support on this journey. I would like to thank Adele Seforo. She's the project manager, and she's kept us on the straight and narrow so that we could actually reach, the targets that were set for us in terms of rolling out the trustee training toolkit. I'd also like to thank our communications team, Renilwe, Mutele Bofu, Festus Masikwameng, Sibusiso Makamo, Tabang Litwaba. Also, of course, I know that some of you have had, or a number of you have had ICT issues, but I also wish to, extend my appreciation to the ICT team because, even though they are small in number, they went over and above, I think, what was required. They'd worked overtime, weekends, after hours, etc., trying to assist trustees to actually make this work. Edward has been the face of this, and as well, Edward Mavuna, as well as Jacques Liebenberg, who's his manager. So thank you very much, ICT, and we'll continue relying on your support. Many of you who have experienced ICT issues would also notice that we often just pass the ICT issues to Edward Mavuna in our ICT team for resolution. So thank you very much. Thank you also to Stefanie Rousseau and Lorraine van Deventer from the Supervisory Framework Department. They've also walked quite a lengthy journey, particularly Stefanie, with us. And to my team, within the Retirement Fund Supervision Division, or our team, I should say, who developed the body of knowledge, as well as my team members, Tando Mbono, Sanchia Petrie, Dudun Tlapo, Mohomotsi Monyela, Taboho Mama Sonia. Thank you for for reviewing the material every step of the way and for working so tirelessly to make this happen. And also, of course, not forgetting our Consumer Education Department, Alicia Moses and Karieta Laubscher. Thank you very much for your valuable contributions. and for making this happen. A big thank you also to Lizanne Botha and Rosalind van Wyk of our Regulatory Framework Department for their assistance in getting out the necessary communique and notices on the website. And a special thank you to the Independent Review Panel, I think neither of whom are probably here today, but a big thank you to both Mr. Radesh Maharaj and Kobus Hanekom for their tremendous contribution. And thank you, most of all, to all the trustees for attending today, and to those of you who have completed phase 1 of the new TTK. Thank you so incredibly much. And we look forward to many, many more of you completing this so that we have the 100% compliance, because as I've indicated, if we don't have that 100% compliance, unfortunately, we would have to wield the stick, and I don't think it will look pretty. And look, it is in the best, at the end of the day, I think the way to approach this, to have the necessary skills and training, can only enhance your ability to exercise your fiduciary duties in looking after other people's monies, because as we know, you stand in a position of trust, in respect of members' money, and it's members' nest eggs, which they rely upon for their retirement. So the role you play is a critically important role that has to be taken very, very seriously. But on that note, I'll end there, Chair, and I'm happy to take questions. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Zareena, for such a comprehensive presentation. Well done to the team that is involved and to all the trustees that completed the TTK. Ladies and gentlemen, in the interest of time, Zareena, I think we'll move to our next speaker and we'll take the questions at the end. I also, took note of the questions that you've posted on the chat box, and we'll deal with that later. If you're a trustee and you'd like to know who to contact at the FSCA, or you'd like to, get more information on the completion of the TTK, well, your questions are about to be answered as our next speaker will share with us some important information. Ladies and gentlemen, let me welcome Sanchia Petrie. She's a senior analyst in the Fund Governance and Trustee Conduct Department at the FSCA. Sanchia, please take the virtual stage.
Thank you so much, Julia, and good morning, everyone. Welcome to the launch of the last set of 11 modules of our Trustee Training Toolkit. My name is Sanchia Petrie, and I will be taking you through the complaints, inquiries, and compliments process for the TTK. There are just a few, I've taken you through this process before. There are just a few differences that I really think is important for you to be cognizant of. So let me just share my screen and let me know when you can see my screen. Julia, can you see my screen?
Yes, I can, Sanchia.
Perfect, thank you. Okay, so the complaints, inquiry, and compliments process, you'll find it on the TTK platform. When I'm done with my presentation, I'll just show you exactly where it is. Here you can log complaints, inquiries, or compliments. Please be cognizant of the call center number that is available. We've trained the call center to specifically be able to assist trustees with complaints, especially your inquiries or compliments for the TTK. Please do not use the 012 number, which will take you to our FSCA reception. Use the call center number as they have been specifically trained for this. And then on the left, you can click there just to actually go through the logging process, and it will redirect you to the FSCA website. This is the link that can be used to access the TTK, the new TTK portal. And then when you click on the inquiries tab, this is where it'll take you to. This is what it looks like. I think it might be better if I just take you through this on the platform. So this is the platform. And if you scroll down right to the bottom, you will see the inquiries tab. You click here, which then redirects you to the FSCA website. And this is where you start the process. If it's a new complaint, you'll click on new in complaint or inquiry or complement. You will select the applicable option. Let's go with inquiry. And you will then select if you're submitting on behalf of yourself as a trustee, or if you are a PO submitting on behalf of a trustee, you can choose another individual where there will be two separate completion request forms at the bottom. For the self-complete, we'll go down and you'll choose your preferred method of communication, which is normally email. You will then choose the retirement funds as a department which your query relates to. You will fill in your details here, and at the bottom, just agree to the disclaimer. You can solve the equation here just to prove that you're not a robot, and then you validate your input. If you are submitting on behalf of a trustee, you'll see it looks a little different because it'll have two sections to complete. It'll have your details as the PO who's doing it on behalf of the trustee, for instance, and then at the bottom, you still need to fill in the trustee's details. If you've already gone through this process and you would like feedback, you click on the follow-up at the top. You would have received a reference number, so you'll provide that here, and then you'll just provide any additional information. Perhaps just say, I would like to know how far you are along with this inquiry, and then you validate your input. Taking you through this. So when you log a complaint or inquiry or complement on our platform, the first line of support would be the licensing and business center and the call center, as I've mentioned, which is the 0800 number. They have been trained to show you how to navigate the portal, how to register, change your password, download your certificate, you know, the frequent queries that we've been receiving from trustees, they will be able to assist you with because we have trained them on this. If it's something that they cannot assist you with, they will either redirect it to the governance department or to the ICT department, depending on what it relates to. If it's a content issue, it'll come to the governance department and we will deal with that. If it is a technical issue, it'll go to the ICT department where they will also log a call for you, and someone from ICT, Edward, most likely, will assist you with this. And then this is what our toolkit looks like, but I've already shown you this. Let me just go back. On the platform, this is what it looks like. You will find our latest announcements at the top. It's very important to read these announcements, especially the latest one, which says trustees are encouraged to refresh the network and have stable internet connection when attempting the toolkit, because we've received quite a few queries, and the issue would be that, you know, they need to refresh or they need to have stable internet connection. Although the query that we've received the most was the fact that trustees couldn't even access the platform. That had to do with a firewall issue that we were experiencing, but we have solved that, and you shouldn't be having that issue anymore. Just below that, we have testimonials. We thank SATAU and Andre Kokomur for their contributions. Thank you, Marilyn Camp from SATAU. If you would like to provide us with a testimonial, we would be really grateful. As you can see, we have more than enough space for additional testimonials, and would really appreciate this if you would send them forward. Right at the bottom, you will find our frequently asked questions. it's important to go through these, and we do update them, especially if we realize that we receive queries around the same issue. For instance, what do I do when my password has expired? A more important one would be, I cannot access the TTK portal. What can I do? And here we also say, check your connection, refresh your page, please try again. This is another important one. What can I do if I cannot log in using Google Chrome? An alternative would be Microsoft Edge. We've seen that this works for trustees who couldn't access the portal via Chrome. And these are all our frequently asked questions. So please go through these. You might find that what you are struggling with has already been dealt with in our frequently asked questions. At the top, you can also find the announcements again, the testimonials and the frequently asked questions. Very important is the user guide. This will take you through the toolkit as a whole and show you how to navigate through it. Another thing that I just want to address is I received a lot of queries from POs or non-trustees who also want to do the toolkit, but they're not sure if they're even allowed to register. You are allowed to register. All that I want to show you is when you register, when you get to this spot. Oh, no, sorry, not this spot. Just give me a second. When you enter the course, when you do your registration, you would have had to fill in the profile form part. If you are a PO or a non-trustee, can we please implore you to, under funds, to not select a fund and rather select the non-applicable as you see here. And if you've already selected a fund during your first registration, you can update it here by under my profile, update profile. This is where you can update your details and just not select a fund here. The reason for this is when we pull stats, we should be able to separate the trustees from the non-trustees. Taking you through this, and then my last slide. We did provide training on the new toolkit. If you want to access that training, these are the links. After the launch, Adele will put together a package and send it out, and you will receive this this presentation with the links to our workshops that we had in September 2022. And that is it from my side. Thank you.
Thank you, Sanchia. Oh, this might be a lot to take in. I mean, I'm sitting here and thinking, will I be able to remember the complaints process or inquiries process? But I just want to say to trustees, do not worry. The recording will be made available to you. So our team will share the launch pack and includes the presentation and the coding round. Thank you so much, Sanchia. Ladies and gentlemen, we said in our introduction that we have in store for you, industry as view. So now we have speakers in support of phase 2 of the TTK. Our first speaker is Anne-Marie Dalton. She's the Chief Executive Officer of BATSETA. Hi, Anne-Marie.
Yes, good morning. Thank you so much. Good morning to the FSC leadership, Astrid, Ludin, Zareena, and the rest of the team, as well as everyone that joined online. I bring you greetings and congratulations from our chairman, Rades Maharaj, and the BATSETA board on the launch of this second set of Trustee Toolkit modules. It is evident that a significant amount of thought and dedication went into the creation of the e-learning platform and content during the first phase. So, BATSETA expects no less from the new release. So we are really looking forward engaging the material. So what I want to do is just pause for a moment about, the evolution of the role of trustees before I delve more into some of our observations so far. The role of trustees has undergone a significant transformation over the years. Now, originally appointed by employers, trustees now represent employees or they are independents. The regulatory environment has also become increasingly stringent, placing greater emphasis on trustees to act in the best interest of their members, understand their fiduciary duty, implement strong governance practices, management risk, and the list goes on and on. There's also a heightened focus on sustainability and responsible investing, with ESG factors playing a crucial role in investment decision making. The modern day trustee are no longer satisfied with merely meeting compliance requirements. In my engagement with trustees, I found that they strive to be actively engaged in meaningful work that positively impacts their membership both now and in the future. So, at the heart of this evolution lies the strong focus on lifelong learning, skills enhancement, and ongoing professional development. Retirement fund trustees are regarded as professionals in their own right, similar for the principal executive officers. So the introduction of this new or enhanced e-learning platform by the FSCA demonstrates an understanding of the shift in the mindset towards continuous learning, continuous training. It is immaterial whether, the completion of the toolkit is compulsory or not. I would like to say that even though, it's prescribed and there's all sorts of legislative requirements, I'm very much for self-regulation, but just how things changed, it's absolutely integral. Colleagues, attendees, I have successfully completed the toolkit. I'm so happy to say that, and I have done it multiple times over. And I have also taken the role of facilitating some training sessions. I found that was a good way for me to get to grips with the toolkit. So today I'm actually excited to share my insights and evaluation of the initial modules with all of you. I cannot speak for the trustees who participated in these training sessions, but what I can say, I have enjoyed the engagement, and I was so impressed by the attitude and the eagerness to learn. And I will share some of the anecdotes and what I observed during this periods. The construction of the learning program is truly impressive. I must say every effort has been made to ensure that it covers all the necessary content clearly and engagingly. And I have yet to come across another foundational program that is as comprehensive and accessible as this one. What's more, it's completely free and it's available online at any time from anywhere. And I must say, Zareena, when you congratulated your team by name, they really deserve the praise that you gave. So in the beginning stages, there may seem like an overwhelming amount of information to absorb. I can attest that, success in this program does not come without effort. So I hope by just sharing some of my experiences and my own journey, I hope that to inspire each of you to just continue learning. So what I've done, MC, I have assessed, my experiences and the toolkit against a few measures. And I will also give a bit of an example why I'm saying whether it was successful or not, and I will also share a little bit of some of the challenges that I came across during this journey. So I think the first thing that I've looked at was goal alignment. So the primary objective of the toolkit is to ensure that all discussions within the board you are part of are thoroughly understood by you, and by you I mean the trustee. It further aims to quickly familiarize the trustee with relevant information, to fulfill their fiduciary duty, to make better decisions, to maintain their expertise in an ever-evolving landscape. And I think, Zareena, during your presentation, you have just confirmed this again. So I am of the opinion that the toolkit indeed aligned with these goals through the carefully selected modules. You know, I will not list all the modules, you've done so already, but they follow a logical progression or foundational structure, beginning with, you know, the introductions to pension funds, followed by governance, followed by rules, followed by investments, and I see that the second phase also have a very good flow. Many of the typical issues that trustees will find on the board agenda are contained in this toolkit. So, you know, it is not something that you will learn and not, you know, engage with going forward on your journey as a trustee. Initially, I found it somewhat limiting that one must first complete each module sequentially before proceeding to the next. However, upon completion of all these modules, I was able to revisit them at my leisure. Anytime I could go and, you know, play around, find information, revisit, and so frankly, if the platform did not enforce the sequential completion requirement, I may have skipped some modules altogether. So the next thing that I've looked at was, you know, application in real life. Is this applicable in real life? So the toolkit is practical and filled with real life examples and applications. And during the training sessions, we were able to put our newfound knowledge into action when it came to managing funds. So trustees, for instance, identify the types of funds, they shared how they navigate rule changes, how they handle non-compliance with payment of contributions, and much more. So the inclusion of the court cases also further enriched our discussions, offering a glimpse into the realities of board meetings. However, I must admit that some modules were overly legalistic and wordy. You know, I distinctly remember struggling through a particular part in the investment module, having to reread certain sections multiple times to try and grasp what was going on. You know, and there were moments where we collectively scratched our heads, feeling a bit lost in the jargon. But, you know, thankfully, there was always somebody on hand or to provide clarification, guidance. And I think there's also an open invitation now via Sanchia to say that, you know, if you struggle, pop us a mail, talk to us, ask your colleague, ask somebody else, you know, somebody has an answer for you. Don't struggle alone. Also then the formative and summative assessments during and after each module provided invaluable reinforcing of our learning. I appreciate the opportunity to retake a few assessments to improve my scores. You know, in the very first one, I think I got like 98 and a 94 and whatever. I thought, oh, I was supposed to get 100. And at the end I saw, but indeed I got 100. And I thought, how was that now possible that I got 100%, but I know that I made a few mistakes. But that was very clever to give us an opportunity to actually achieve, you know, the 100% mark, full mark. So it's really good, and I thought very clever to give us opportunities just to retake. The other issue that I've looked at was problem solving and critical thinking. You know, I firmly believe that the toolkit empowers trustees with the necessary knowledge to tackle challenges and tasks more strategically. And why I'm saying so, during one of our sessions, for instance, we delved into the intricacies of the default regulation, sparking quite a lively debate on lump sum payments pre and post 1 March 2021. This discussion then further deepened our understanding and prompted further dialogue on the two-pot system. And as a result, the fund recognized the importance of revisiting member communication strategies and making sure that members do understand the differences and how it impacts. I've also looked at, the long-term impact of the particular toolkit. And I'm confident that the toolkit will remain an essential resource as trustees and principal officers advance in their personal and professional development. It does not only provide longevity and sustainability, but also enhance one's skills set, ultimately leading to greater success in the role within the industry. Colleagues, it is the start of the trustee skills development journey. It is not the end of it. BATSETA has seamlessly incorporated the toolkit in our learning requirements for participation in the RPL program, and allowing trustees and fiduciaries to also earn CPD points. I think at the moment it's something like 12 points. And additionally, I also understand that the ASISA Academy offers governance training that complements and support the toolkit. The next issue that I want to deal with is, feedback from others. I'm not going to necessarily quote, but what I'm going to see is that we receive regular feedback from our members. And I'm very pleased to say that, overall, the content, the overall content of the feedback has been positive. While there has been some reference to different opinions or interpretations, we have addressed and shared these with the FSCA accordingly. And, we already had some conversations about the technical challenges, so it will be a bit disingenuous not to acknowledge it from my side as well. When the platform was functioning properly, it brought great satisfaction, but when it experienced downtime, it caused frustration among our members. And I'm really pleased to hear that, these things have been attended to and sorted. And, I also want to say that a heartfelt thank you to Edward Mavuna for his support and yours as well. So before I conclude, I just want to do a quick exercise, if it's okay, MC. I call it thumbs up, thumbs down. And I just want to, and I know that some of you already use the chat box and are commenting as we present, but I want to just ask you for a moment to just write one positive or helpful, valuable, positive or helpful aspect.
Sorry, Anne-Marie,
Zareena?
I'm so sorry, but I think, okay, sorry, the MC is speaking, but I'm just a bit worried. We are running out of time, Anne-Marie.
Okay,
I'm sorry.
so let me conclude.
But MC, please go ahead.
Right. So what I want to do in conclusion is just to give you a quick few tips. Make sure that the Wi-Fi is reliable. Make sure that you allocate a time for it. It demands discipline and careful planning. And if you experience a problem, just move on and redo. Congratulations again, FSCA at BATSETA. We are deeply committed to the training and development of trustees, and we stand ready to offer our unwavering support. Thank you very much and congratulations again.
Thank you very much, Anna-Marie, for sharing in detail with us your experience with the TTK and how you incorporated the learnings to your work. For me, that was very interesting. Please stay on the line. Maybe towards the end, we can do the exercise. Ladies and gentlemen, our second speaker is Ms. Ayanda Khoza, who is the Vice President of IRFA. She's an independent trustee of the Discovery Umbrella. Ms. Amanda.
Thank you very much, MC. Good morning, everyone, and thank you for the opportunity to speak at this significant occasion. And much has already been said, so I'll just add my brief thoughts. I'm very conscious of time. My name is Amanda Khoza, as has already been mentioned. I'm the Vice President of the Institute of Retirement Funds Africa, generally known as the IRFA. And, when the FSC asked if we could participate today, it made sense for our organization because we're all about building and empowering and collaborating for the advancement of our retirement funds ecosystem. Therefore, I extend further greetings and congratulations from the IRFA board. The perspective I'd like to share today is the heart rather than the head or compliance that reflects the training toolkit. Anna-Marie also has already spoken about the practicalities of implementation, so I won't go into any of that detail. For me, it is important that we understand the impact the toolkit seeks to derive, which aligns with creating a synergy of theory and practice and buy-in to bring it to effect. The launch of the FSCA's trustee training toolkit is a milestone event, not just for South Africa, but for the global pensions industry around the world. And as Anna-Marie also shared, there is a growing recognition of the critical role that trustees play in safeguarding workers' retirement savings and also ensuring the sustainability of pension systems. Many countries have introduced trustee training programs, but the FSCA's initiative stands out for its scope and ambition. And Anna-Marie spoke at length about the different aspects of the training. I too completed the toolkit on the 5th of January this year, and I'm glad that some of the glitches I encountered were addressed. Thanks to Zareena and Sanchia for speaking to that. This comprehensive toolkit covers all the key areas, as has already been mentioned, but I'd like to highlight its coverage of trustee responsibility from investment management to risk management, legal compliance. It's designed not just to impart technical knowledge, but to foster a culture of continuous learning, professional development, and high performance among trustees. For me, it emphasizes that the responsibility should not be taken lightly, as trustees are entrusted with people's life savings. It is people behind the trillions invested in the industry. And we need to see the people and their hopes and dreams when they place their money in our hands for safekeeping. Those who know will attest to my love for the Zulu greeting, Sawubona, because of its depth and meaning, that I see you, I recognize you, I acknowledge you, I see you. Therefore, I would like to challenge trustees to see the people behind the money in our roles as trustees, as I am also a trustee. The Trustee Toolkit is thus particularly important in South Africa, where the trustee model is central to our pension system. The trustees, me included, who are often non-pensions professionals, are taking on a complex role, as my colleague Nancy from the IRFA can confirm, and we need proper training and support to effectively challenge service providers, navigate the different conflicts of interest, and make informed decisions in the best interests of members, the people behind the money. Under IRFA, I chair the Transformation and Sustainability Committee, and one of my passions is financial education. In my experience, one needs to always be aware of their own financial decisions, and it creates an important layer of responsibility when making financial decisions on behalf of others. The first 11 modules, though there seems to be a lot and may have seemed overwhelming, they do really create a great opportunity to start making those decisions with greater confidence. And we should applaud the work that has gone into creating this learning platform. We as the IRFA endorse it for our members, and the timing is opportune for all of us, given the changes and requirements in our pensions landscape. It is my observation also that the training directly supports the FSCA's regulatory and supervisory mandates by promoting good governance, enhancing risk management, facilitating supervision, driving compliance, empowering stakeholders, and also building public trust, which I'm sure you'll get to hear more about in the speakers that follow after me. So the toolkit helps the FSCA to protect the interests of retirement fund members and safeguard the stability of the sector. Crucially, the training also helps trustees to fulfill their TCF responsibilities, which requires that retirement funds consistently deliver fair outcomes to members. who are the people behind the money. The toolkit supports this by emphasizing trustees' fiduciary duties. It highlights key fairness issues, promoting transparency, ensuring equitable treatment, and also, as I mentioned earlier, managing different conflicts of interest that we might come across. And more broadly, the training is invaluable in helping us as trustees to understand and execute our duties as fiduciaries, because we have a legal and ethical obligation to manage the funds that we are sitting on prudently and knowledgeably and impartially. I have found that the toolkit provides the knowledge and the skills that we need to oversee the fund's investments, but it's broader than that. It goes into administration and ensures more effective management of operations as well. And it also helps us to navigate various complex issues and keep up with regulatory developments and enhance our decision-making and communication skills. By equipping trustees with these capabilities, the training empowers them to discharge their duties with competence and confidence. It helps to ensure that trustees are making informed, independent decisions in the best interests of their members and providing effective oversight and leadership for their funds. This is very important. And looking ahead, just from a broad-based view, I believe the FSCA's trustee training program has the potential to be a model for other countries who are seeking to strengthen pension fund governance. By setting a high standard for trustee professionalism and providing a comprehensive curriculum, we are being shown what's possible when regulators take a proactive approach to trustee development. For me, that regulator is empowering as well as supervising and regulating, which are all important and distinct roles. I think in the interest of time, I'll close here and commend the FSCA for their leadership in launching this initiative and congratulate all the trustees who are committed to this learning journey. By investing in our own development, we are enhancing our ability to serve our members and also contribute to the strength and integrity of our entire pension system. We are the frontline defenders of workers' retirement security, and our work has never been more important. I think I'll end here. Thank you, and I wish the FSCA and attending stakeholders a productive and enriching launch event, and all the best with the next 11 modules. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Khoza, for such an insightful presentation or speech. Ladies and gentlemen, our third speaker is Mr. Jacques Hugo, who serves within the FEDUSA structures as a member of the National Executive Committee, Management Committee, and Chairperson of the Development Committee as the Vice President Development of FEDUSA. Mr. Hugo?
Program Director, dignitaries, trustees, and attendees. As she said, my name is Jacques Hugo. Thank you for the opportunity to be part of this launch today. South Africa has a well-developed retirement fund industry and a robust regulatory framework. However, we see challenges in our environment and failures in governance, putting workers' hard-earned savings at risk. With nearly 870 active funds in our country and with more than 5.6 trillion in assets under management, we recognize the importance of not just good, but exemplary governance in ensuring these funds provide for our members and working class in general when they go on pension or needs a daring incapacitation, for instance. Trustees carry a fiduciary duty in terms of their appointment. A person with a fiduciary duty is someone whom another person has placed utmost trust and confidence to manage and protect property or money. The fiduciary relationship describes a relationship in which one person has an obligation to act for another's benefit. That is the key attribute all trustees should and must have. Trustees are tasked to ensure that the fund is managed in a transparent and fair manner, that there is adherence to the rules of the fund, and that the rules are in line with the relevant legislation. As we've heard earlier, the Financial Sector Conduct Authority has launched the first 11 modules of the newly revamped Trustee Toolkit e-learning platform in September of last year. The toolkit is aimed at ensuring that retirement fund trustees are skilled up with more comprehensive information that will enhance their knowledge and skills to better equip them in the exercise of their fiduciary duties in retirement funds on which they serve. And I quote, "The revision of the Trustee Toolkit was substantive in nature and shows that the governance principles are not static in nature and have to keep pace with changes in our environment, economy, and society." We welcome the second phase of this toolkit. Trustees as directors of boards of retirement funds need to be constantly alive to the changes in their environment to make sure that they provide the correct leadership and apply stewardship in the long-term saving of workers. The importance of trustees training and trustees having appropriate levels and skills are contained in Section 7A3, as previously mentioned, of the Pension Funds Act, which provides that board members elected or appointed to a fund must attain such levels of skills and training as may be prescribed by the FSCA within 6 months from the date of their appointment. We note the extension on phase 1 and welcome the move by the FSCA given the challenges. Further, Conduct Standard 4 of 2020 prescribes the minimum skills and training requirements for board members of retirement funds. It also prescribes that the Trustee Toolkit as the official minimum training requirement for all trustees of retirement funds in South Africa. Board members are in turn required to retain the prescribed levels of skills and training throughout their term of appointment. As reported earlier, statistics on the enrollments and the completion of phase 1 of the new Trustee Toolkit is disappointing. We applaud those trustees that have complied with the current timeline and encourage every trustee that have not done so to comply with the regulations and heed to the extension announced earlier today on phase 1, now September the 30th, 2024. I appeal to everyone, all the trustees, do not procrastinate. This toolkit is designed to enhance trustees' knowledge and to empower them in decision-making, subscribing to the high governance standards members demand and set in managing their savings. Members of the funds depend on trustees to act in their best interest at all times. I thank you, Program Director.
Thank you so much, Mr. Hugo, for keeping it straight to the point. Ladies and gentlemen, we are aware of the time. Our fourth speaker is Mr. Matthew Parks, who is COSATU's parliamentary coordinator. Mr. Matthews, can you give us your views, maybe in like less than 5 minutes, if possible?
Yes, no, definitely. Yeah, thanks, Chair, for giving us our space as COSATU just to join on. And I think we agree with Comrade Jacques' points as well, and I think many other issues. Maybe just a few thoughts. I think one is that we view this kind of as a partnership between the FFCA, the pension fund, the trustees, and organized labor, whether it's COSATU, whether it's FEDUSA, whether it's our unions, affiliates, etc. I think it's always important to reflect that these pension funds, they belong to workers. They're workers' wages, and we shouldn't forget that. At times, we've seen many instances where pension funds forget that, where government might forget that, where employers forget that, or even investors forget that. And I think we should always bear in mind that ultimately they are there to benefit workers, they belong to workers, and must be protected generously. I think also, Chair, we've all seen the challenge we face as a society, and no one is unaffected. So if you have a 41% unemployment rate, if you have many people drowning in debt, there is a spillover effect. I think we've all seen the consequence where many workers opt to resign because they're drowning in debt. Many workers are struggling because maybe, yes, they receive a salary, but they're supporting relatives who have lost wages, have lost jobs. So no one is unaffected. So this does have an effect on pension funds, the sustainability, etc. I think we've also been, I'm sure all of us here have been quite alarmed by the continuous problems of issues of corruption in pension funds. I think we've seen the PIC going through a very difficult chapter not so long ago. There's still the issues. I think we've seen in the private sector too, there's been issues as well. So I think for us, it is a matter that we need to constantly take seriously. And we're always amazed by how some pension funds are literally raided by investors, etc., which is nothing short of criminal. So we do want to also say as Labour, time with the labels are not always helpful. So, but I think we support the principles of investing locally in South Africa's economy. Let's rather champion investments in local farms and local factories and local shopping centres. We think South Africa's economic opportunities are immense, and one, so that you do benefit pension funds in terms of the return of investments, but secondly, that we can't sustain a society with a 41% unemployment rate. So if we're going to have money to invest, let's really champion investing in that, that farm or that motor manufacturing plant in East London, that shopping centre in Johannesburg, that sugar plantation in KZN, etc. Because there is a benefit to us too. The more people who have jobs, the more we all benefit. We do think, Chair, there is a need for us to do a lot more consumer education. We've always been often quite pained by, as COSATU, by how many of our members really don't understand their rights, the modalities, the obligations, the pros and cons of different choices. I think collectively as the FFCA, pension funds, organised labour, all of us have a critical role in that regard. So we do need to, and all these points I've raised is because we've often been very passive as pension fund members, as workers. Often if you ask workers, where's your pension fund invested? You'd be lucky if they could even name one company, public and private sector. So I think we do need to really build a culture of shareholder activism, that we should be much more questioning where our monies are invested and also how are they used, etc. At times we do see a significant disconnect between people we send to boards and workers on the ground. So those are the kind of things we need to see constantly. How do we avoid that gap? How to improve upon it? I think, lastly, Chair, we've since 2020 we've had good discussions. Jacques, Zareena, other colleagues. I think I see some colleagues from Treasury here online as well. Around the two-part pension reforms, we think it's a really unique, a positive development. Yes, might have come originally from COSATU, but I think we were very heartened when we had, pension funds, be it Alexander Forbes or Old Mutual, etc., CISA, I think FFCA, etc., and Treasury, that we've largely managed to find each other. We've managed to, I think, to address each other's concerns in a positive way, and I think society will be better off for it. And I'm just raising it, Chair, because the two bills are currently before Parliament. The Revenue Laws Amendment Bill was finalised by the NCP on Tuesday this week, so it'll now go to the President for his assent. And the Pension Fund Amendment Bill was passed by the National Assembly last night, so it'll now go to the NCP, and they're scheduled to adopt it during the course of April. Obviously, it then means it goes to the President for assent and Treasury for promulgation. And of course, then the critical part why I'm raising it here is that the FFCA and the pension funds will play a very, very important role in terms of amending pension fund rules, education of members, etc. And even something as mundane but very important as putting in place administrative systems too. So when the two-part reforms come into effect on 1 September, we should have a seamless process, and we should not have one which brings stress to anyone, be it the funds, be it members, most importantly, etc. So I think let me end there, Chair. I think we just want to say thanks for including us. And I think for us as COSATU, and I'm sure Jacques has the same view, about having a partnership between FFCA, the pension funds, Treasury, and organised labour as COSATU, as FEDUSA, etc. I think we all have the same interest, and I think we all need to support each other and work together. So yeah, let me stop there, Chair, and thanks very much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Parks. I think I'd like to congratulate you for keeping to time. I gave you 5 minutes and you did exactly that. Thank you to all our speakers for being patient with us with regards to time. Zareena, can I call you onto the virtual stage to announce the date the TTK will go live?
So thank you. So we left with a minute, and today is the day that the TTK second tranche goes live. So I look forward to your completion of the next tranche for those of you who have already completed, and for those of you who haven't, may you complete the 22 modules timelessly. Thank you very much, and thank you for your attendance. As I've indicated, if you have any other questions, please feel free to email myself or Sanchia, and I'd also just wish to convey a special thank you to all the presenters for their support, and for, it was really excellent hearing all of you. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Zareena. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. I wanted to steal at least a couple of minutes, but I know we do have engagements after this. And thank you to everyone who made time to be with us today, to our speakers. We can't thank you enough. And I've learned that we don't apologize. We just have to be thankful. So thank you for being patient with us with regards to time. My name is Mampe Masike, and if we know that we do have other questions that we in the interest of time we could not attend to, but you're welcome to email Zareena and Sanchia and the rest of the team, and then we'll address your questions. And good luck to all the trustees, principal officers, and everyone who's going to be writing the trustee toolkit. Till next time, thank you.